One of the big questions that people ask us a lot is, what are you doing to aid the development of referees, and what sort of processes are in place for referees that maybe aren't in good form right now?
What we brought in place, we brought more referees in as hopefully the fans and the players can see that we've got more referees this year. So we've got a bigger choice of referees to use in the games. Hopefully with the experience they'll become better referees. And you'll see, hopefully the standards rising. I haven't had the complaints this year that I've seen previously years, which is touchwood. Hopefully carries on. These guys, every summer now we have a camp. The one next year is going to be 4 days long. I've got hopefully USA Hockey involved, and also I'm going to get the NHL involved if we can. So we're getting the experience from outside to come in and help us to improve the refereeing standard. Most of these guys can skate well. Most of these guys know all the rules, and so the rule knowledge is improving, and it's then how to put that onto the ice. And I think with what's happening going forward, it'll get better and better.
Is it a lot about game management? Is that a lot of what you're trying to do for the officials?
Yes, it is. And I supervise, and I have a supervisor in Scotland, so we're trying to get everybody on the same page. It's very difficult. We're trying to get the consistency of the calls the same. And the standard of the calls the same. It can sometimes depend on the game, how the players want to play the game. So that can have an effect as well. But we're trying to make everything, and also the referees more what's the word?
Accountable.
Accountable, yes, more accountable for what they're doing, and all of them are taking that on board and going with that.
Should a referee make a massive mistake? We see in football, they get dropped from fixtures, they get sent down to the Championship or League One for a couple of weeks. Could we see that kind of scenario within the Elite League?
Yes, we can, because we are now working closely with the EIHA, which is England, and the SIHA, which is Scotland, and we have that process in place. That the guys, if they are not calling to the standard that they're expected and not performing to the standard with fitness-wise, we can take them down, and they'll end up doing lower division games if they're available, because both of us are working 4 or 5 weeks in front with our fixtures. So
yeah, and is that kind of one of the problems actually, because you have to work 4 or 5 weeks in front? It's not as easy as saying he had a bad game last week, you immediately can take a sanction.
Yeah, that's the only problem we have, but we can do that. We have the flexibility within inside the system to be able to do that, and enough people to be able to move that around if we feel that's warranted.
Has that happened this year?
Not yet, no.
No. How do you explain a situation? Again, going back to Belfast, we're not just going to talk about them, but they say that they've had one official an awful lot so far this season, in Dean Smith. Is there a good reason for that?
Well, the actual figures themselves dispute that, because that's not actually happened.
Yeah.
They haven't had Dean straight 10 games or how many games. They may have it in 3 or 4 games, but not as many games as they think. And we tried to move the referees round, but unfortunately, with Belfast being where it is, it's actually getting people who are available to go to Belfast to do the games. Now that's the only drawback that we have with allocating people.
So, for example, you may want to choose 3 or 4 different referees to go there, but if their schedules don't allow, you get to 5, 6, 7 on the list. And I'm not saying it's 7 because of ability, but 7 maybe because this guy was there last week.
That can happen, and unfortunately it does happen because, as you rightly said, it's their availability and whether they have the time, one off work, and also the time in their schedule to be able to go to Belfast to do the games.
It's an important point, that, isn't it? That these guys aren't professionals. They're not paid the kind of money where this is their job day in, day out.
No, this is just their recreational, but they do take it very professionally, I must admit.
Yeah.
And it always has been, as long as I've been involved in the sport in the UK. Everybody I know that works full time and does this as a weekend come games during the week. So this is their secondary job, as you would call it.
How do you see the future of British referees? They've had great recognition, haven't they, by the IIHF. Certainly next summer at the World Championships there's going to be an awful lot of British referees that are going to be working at one level or another. Yeah,
we really punch above our weight in regards to getting allocated IHF officials. We've got 10 or 11 going out this year, which I'm really pleased about. And I can already see that in the new crop of officials I've got coming in this year to the Elite League, that's going to increase to more people, because I can see the qualities there and what the IHF are looking for within their officiating standard.
So why is it there seems to be a perception that the British referees aren't good enough, if you like? Because there is that perception amongst some fans.
I don't think you'll ever get rid of that, because if you go to any country, you're always going to get that the referees aren't good enough and the standard isn't good enough. But it's something that we've got to work to and work with the fans to make them understand, and hopefully we will in the coming weeks or months, work with the fans to try and get them to understand how and why and what the officials do on the ice. So it's something that we need to work towards, really.
And experiences of the last 7 days or so, does that just make the job that little bit more difficult for you?
I think with 20 years of experience refereeing on the ice, I get used to it. But it does make it, there is a bit of, why am I doing this? But I have thick skin and broad shoulders, so I can take it. But it does make you wonder sometimes what you're doing it for.
And what about those that you look after? Are they equally as rhino-skinned?
Yes, I think if you talk to any of us, we are all rhino-skinned. You have to be, otherwise you wouldn't do the job.